Guys, what's up? Welcome back. This is Tom. I've been reading The Most Dangerous Trade, the greatest short selling book, perhaps other than Dead Companies Walking, I've ever read. And it has a great profile of Jim Chanos. Now, Jim Chanos, why should we care about him? Okay, number one, he was the only hedge fund manager to actually support Occupy Wall Street. So I don't know what you guys think, but to me, that's pretty awesome. He's a short seller, so he's seen a lot of the shenanigans that go on. Probably gave him a different perspective. But anyway, the other reason is because he has a 22% annual return since 1985. That is a long time. He's been doing this my entire life, and he's been creaming the market. So, quick overview of him. He got into short selling by accident, like so many of the others. He was researching a piano company, of all things, that had also gotten into insurance, and they were doing some self-dealing. The laws got changed, and it was going against them, but finally they went bankrupt. Then he went on to Deutsche Bank and had several other short calls. But he did an interview with the Wall Street Journal in 1985 that was real critical of short sellers, and he made a joke that, people think I have two horns and syphilis, and it wasn't a good look for the bank. So they ended up just firing him. He started his own fund. Incidentally, three of those companies that he mentioned in the journal article did go bankrupt. Some of his good calls, it's a long list. The Texas real estate bubble in the 80s, Enron, this is shorting, Enron, Tyco, Wirecard, AIG, and the frackers in 2017. Now, a couple of his bad calls, they all had merit, but something happened to, well, not all, but there's something going on. Anyway, AOL, which acquired Time Warner just in time, Autonomy, which we'll get into later, and then the China trade. So what can we learn from him? It's a little hard to take away things from him because he has an army of analysts and it's more of hedge fund stuff. But I still think that there are several things we can learn. I've got 8 things here. Just stick with me, guys. It's going to be over in 3 minutes. Okay? If there's another category to take away. We've got frauds, failures, and fads. We've also got booms that go bust. That's what he likes to look for, like Texas, like the real estate bubble in the U.S. Be careful of leveraged positions and too big of a position. Okay, in number 3, we'll get into that. Number 3, it's not always a good environment for shorting. In 1991, I believe the Nasdaq was up double. So his returns from 91 to 93 were negative 31%, negative 16%, negative 45%. Okay, his short fund was too leveraged. He had more than 10% in each one. It was not working. He changed some of those requirements, what he could do in his fund, etc. Okay, number 3, this is an important one. Beware of serial acquirers. A lot of times these acquirers, when they purchase things, they put restructuring charges and they try to hide some bad business decisions, whether it's unsold inventory or whether it's some other things. He loves to look for a good roll-up and look for the issues with it. That was the case with Tyco, and it was also the case with Hewlett-Packard. Number 4, avoid being so sure when you're looking at a whole country, a whole foreign country. He said a bunch of stuff about the Chinese real estate bubble. He said it was 1,000 times worse than Dubai. He's now reduced his short stake. It's hard to fight against the whole government's policy, especially when you're not an expert on that country. Number 5, sometimes you can be right, but it doesn't matter. In these cases, AOL, they had some accounting stuff going on. They had to go back and restructure their earnings. They were a big money-losing part of Time Warner. But they were able to buy Time Warner before the tech bubble burst. Hewlett-Packard, there was a Autonomy, some sort of an e-payments processor, something along those lines. There was all kind of problems, but Hewlett-Packard bought them out. Now, thankfully for Chanos, he was able to go back and short Hewlett-Packard. He said, if they bought this junk, there's got to be something wrong with them. They were also hiding a bunch of restructuring charges and things like that. Okay, number 6, stay anchored in the real world. He visited Texas personally. He saw the development ghost towns, and then that gave him extra impetus to go short. Number 7, sometimes it really is simple. Almost really simple, that is. The Coleco Atom computer was panned, it was glitchy, it was terrible, so he thought this is an obvious short. And the sales did crash from 400 million to 56 million in 2 years. The problem, Cabbage Patch Dolls. They had another toy division. The Cabbage Patch Dolls went from 67 million sales to $600 million of sales. He said, we rode a bubble and then it collapsed. We stayed on too long for another bubble on top of that. Now, eventually they went bankrupt in 1988. I don't know whether he made money off of that one or not. And then just staying aware, he read an article about Enron, was able to dig into the accounting and see the problems there. And then when Enron was trying to be acquired by another energy company, they said, oh, we have no problem with Enron's accounting. We do a lot of the same things. He pricked up his ears and said, oh, y'all do a lot of the same things. So he ended up making as much money shorting this other stock as he did on Enron. So guys, those are some takeaways from one of the best short sellers of all time. I forgot to mention his fund, Chanos, is the Greek word for cynic. I think that's kind of cool. Let me know, what do you think of Jim Chanos? Do you follow his calls? What do you think are his views on the Grubhub stuff? I know he's on the Biden economic team. Let me know down below, and I'll catch y'all next time.